Hey, honey.
Yes, Barry?
Let's get out of here.
Where are we going?
Where do we always go?
Fascina el viento, este ritmo de palmas, sin naturaleza, hasta encontrar la playa. Por eso grito al mundo, yo soy de Puerto Vallarta. Samba de Puerto Vallarta, noche de arrullo en el mar. Samba de Puerto Vallarta.
Hello, fellow travelers, and welcome to this episode of the Puerto Vallarta Travel Show. I'm your host, Barry Kessler, and I'm just so happy to be introducing you to my favorite vacation destination. Hey, maybe it's even yours, and that's Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. The music you're listening to is performed by Alberto Perez, and Alberto is the owner of the La Palapa group of restaurants. Those are the Le Bistro, Jazz Cafe, Riverside on Isla Cuale, and the La Palapa, Puerto Vallarta's oldest restaurant on the famous Los Muertos Beach. And then there's the El Dorado Restaurant Beach Club right next door. So you can enjoy that fantastic view of the Los Muertos Pier, all lit up at night in beautiful colors, or during the day in its grand splendor for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, seated with your toes in the sand at the water's edge or riverside at Le Bistro. It's so romantic. It's so Puerto Vallarta, my friends. This week we are going to a real live television news station in Marina Vallarta. It's called CPS Studios, where we're going to be meeting with Brent Lane. Brent originally is from Austin, Texas. He does a weekly English language news show with his co-host. Her name is Jessy Ruiz, where they deliver to their viewers the local news, including local sports, special events, and even tips for the expat community here in Puerto Vallarta. The show is called CPS News with Jessy and Brent. Streamed and available on YouTube. You're really going to like the conversation that we had with Brent. Also, Debbie and I have a couple of new friends. They're listeners from New York. We cornered them at Restaurant Moro Paraíso for an interview. You're going to be hearing from Susie and Russ about some of their favorite restaurants in Puerto Vallarta, as well as their favorite things to do in paradise. We have Puerto Vallarta news and more. So let's see what's happening in Puerto Vallarta this week, the 21st of April, 2025. Yesterday was Easter Sunday. It marked the end of Semana Santa in Mexico and here in Puerto Vallarta, where the front of the church is all fancied up in yellow and green pennants there. They match handsomely with the beautiful yellow primavera flowers on the tall primavera trees in the Plaza de Armas and all around town. There's just beautiful yellow flowers. That leaves a carpet of yellow flowers at the base of these trees. It's really very pretty this time of year. And speaking of the church, they had a fireworks show over the Iglesia de Nuestra Señora de Guadalupe a couple nights ago, Saturday night, I think. And it was very pretty. I'll post a video that I took of it from the balcony of our place in Puerto Vallarta right into the Puerto Vallarta Travel Show Facebook page. You can find it there. My buddy JR, John Russell of VallartaInfo.com, is having his 85th birthday celebration this coming Friday, the 25th of April. It's going to be at Gringo Loco in Zona Romantica, and he says he should be there from 3 in the afternoon onward. He did mention Mexican time. You might want to think maybe getting there around 3:15 or 3:30, or maybe a little later. I don't know, but hopefully he says he's healthy enough. He's going to be able to have a drink, and I guess he's had a little trouble with his tummy. But he is better and good enough to celebrate. So if you want to drop by and celebrate his birthday with him, he'd be delighted, I'm sure. If you are in town, stop by the Gringo Loco. They're over on Madero, over in Zona Romantica. And hoist a cold beer or an adult beverage of your choice to JR. He's 85 years old, and he doesn't look a day over 84. The owner of the Gringo Loco, Larry has one of the friendliest bars and, in my opinion, the coldest beer in Puerto Vallarta. Again, Federico I. Madero, 403 in Zona Romantica, the Gringo Loco, from 3 till whenever JR decides he quits, I guess. Unfortunately, happy birthday, JR. 85 years, that's amazing. And I only wish that I can get 85. Unfortunately, Debbie and I are going to be missing JR's birthday bash. We're headed up to Los Angeles for some business. We got an extension on our taxes so that we could meet up with our accountant and do our corporate and our personal taxes and all that stuff. And all that information is not with us here in Puerto Vallarta. It's over at my brother's house, sitting in his garage. And so, yeah, we're going to go through this garage, and then we're going to do our taxes. And as a matter of fact, we are closing a sale on a client's new house that we helped him buy. So we're going to be there to hand him the keys to their new home there in California. And then we're going to be heading up to Northern California to ranch sit for a childhood friend of mine and for his family. We're going to be there for 5 days in a place called Trinidad, California. It's really pretty. It's right on the coast. It's gorgeous. So that they can attend a family wedding in Nashville, Tennessee. My friend John's house, Dr. John, that is, John's a radiologist and an amateur gynecologist as well. Yeah, he's got a big place with a beautiful big view overlooking Trinidad State Beach. Is really, really pretty. Not shabby at all. If you're going to have to do a little bit of house sitting, you might as well do a little bit of that there. But I did say ranch sitting, and Debbie and I are going to be milking and feeding like 16 goats and feeding 2 horses. And she says there's 17 chickens. There's a dog. There are assorted cats. And I've been told there are tropical fish as well. So Dr. John's really taking a chance here, but hey, we can do it. City boy, schmitty boy, we can do it. We can do it. It is up in Humboldt County, California's weed growing capital, and there's plenty of dispensaries up there as well. Plus, we can walk down to the beach. It's just about a 15-minute walk from his house, just like in Vallarta, I guess. So we're not really going to be skipping a beat, except for the goat milking thing. That's going to be a trick. It will be the first time that we are going to be trying to use our new residency cards to exit and enter and re-enter, I guess, Mexico. And we will report to you back on that, tell you how that goes. I'm hoping for smooth sailing, and fingers crossed, everything should be fine. I also plan to produce an episode from Northern California, just like in old times. So don't worry, I'll have an episode for you in a week or two. Dengue is on the rise in Jalisco, and they're getting serious, they say, about fumigation and other remediation measures in Puerto Vallarta. From the Banderas News, Puerto Vallarta has taken a major step to protect the health of its residents with the start of a large-scale fumigation campaign aimed at controlling the spread of dengue fever. Led by the Jalisco Ministry of Health through the 8th Health Region, the effort will cover more than 1,600 city blocks over the next 4 weeks. Crews began fogging the neighborhoods on Monday, focusing on areas where the mosquitoes that transmit dengue fever are most active. According to Jaime Alvarez Zayas, head of the 8th Health Region, the fumigation strategy is carefully guided by heat maps and confirmed dengue cases. The goal is to dramatically reduce mosquito population ahead of the rainy season, when conditions for breeding increase. In addition to fumigation with heavy machinery, mostly carried out during early morning hours, health officials will also perform larval control in more than 6,600 homes. Special attention is being given to neighborhoods like Ixtapa, the upper part of El Pitial, and the Cinco de Diciembre neighborhood, where mosquito activity has been highest. As of April 7th, 2025, Puerto Vallarta has reported 118 cases of dengue fever. Of these, 92 were classified as dengue with warning signs and 23 as non-severe dengue. Encouragingly, there have been no hospitalizations or deaths related to the illness so far this year. And the article continues, this proactive campaign reflects the city's commitment to public health and its determination to protect the community before the summer rains arrive. And I have a link to that article from the Banderas News in the show notes. So when you hear a big leaf blower coming down the street, well, sometimes they sound like street sweeper machines with a big leaf blower in the back. Run for cover. Well, close your windows if you can. Speaking about those summer rains, we are still about 2 months away from the start of rainy season in Paradise. June 15th is the official start date for the rainy season in Puerto Vallarta, give or take a week or two. And currently the Quale is still flowing, although it's down to slightly stronger than a trickle. By the time it gets to the Isla Quale, there's just barely enough water to flow past one side of the island on the way to the sea. Debbie and I have been doing a lot of walking, actually, along the Quale of late. We walk from our place, which it's up in Alta Vista. It's up near Casa Isabel. And we usually walk over to La Huerta Barbecue when we want to go and listen to some music. And they're over in Paso Ancho. It's about an hour walk or so. And most of that walk is along the river. It's really interesting as you're walking along there, what you see is some work that CPS is done. They do it on the river. CPS is the government entity that supplies the city's water. CPS pumps and stores and purifies and delivers and disposes of water for the entire city of Puerto Vallarta. They've got pumping stations and purification stations and water storage tanks all over town. They're very proud of them. They got their name written all over them. You can't miss them. And some smell better than others, as a matter of fact. It's just an observation. But as you walk up the river, you can see how they collect and they divert some of that water on the Quale upstream from Zona Romantica. You're not seeing it over in Zona Romantica. All you're seeing is what's left of what they're doing over there. But they slow down the river. They dam it up a little bit. They create pools of that water so that they can suck up as much of that water as they can before it gets to the ocean, right? So it's what it is. It's a small system of locks and of channels and pools. It's very interesting. And you don't notice this stuff when the river's full, but when it's down to a trickle, it's kind of cool to watch. They got pools that are upriver, and there's people in there having a good time. They're splashing around in them, and they're bathing in them, and they're doing whatever they do, but having a good time, and that's up the river. So it's very interesting to see. But another reminder, of course, for all of us, we need to conserve water while we're in Paradise. And if you're into that kind of thing, you might want to pray for a little rain as well. So every little bit helps. And of course, that's not happening, like I said, not expected until about June 15th or so. There's a lot of nationals in town for the Easter holidays. The schools are out for 2 weeks, so kids are out of school for 1 more week. But most of the folks around here, they go right back to work, after Easter. Meanwhile, every day we're seeing more and more Canadians heading back up north to their igloos, and it's sad. Everybody thinks like the town's kind of closing down, and there's just fewer visitors from up north. A lot more locals and a lot more nationals who are visiting right now. They're in town. And so as things are slowing down in Paradise, so does the schedule, of course, over at the Botanical Garden, the Vallarta Botanical Garden. They're going to be closed now every Monday until December. So plan accordingly. If you're going to be in town from now until December and you're planning on going to the garden, don't pick a Monday. Speaking of the botanical garden, they added another 6 hectares, or almost 15 acres of pristine forested land to their over 200 hectares of forested land that they have there. They got that with the generous help of the Trist Luxury Hotel Group. So good for the gardens. Now, friend of the podcast, Bob Price, he is the founder and curator of the gardens. He told us in past interviews how important it was for the gardens to, get some of that adjacent property and keep that natural, untouched look of the forest that surrounds the botanical garden intact. Keep it all looking really, really nice. And so good on the Trist Hotel Group for making this acquisition possible. And remember, you wait to visit the gardens. If you don't go on Mondays, don't go on Mondays. Now, if the news of dengue carrying mosquitoes isn't biblical enough, Vallarta has crocodiles invading popular beaches at the mouth of a river, by the way. Jellyfish in the water. There were, unfortunately, 2 drownings reported over Semana Santa holidays, so please look out. Look out for red flags that are flying at beaches. Red flags basically mean that there's unsafe swimming conditions like riptides. And then there's the purple flags. They're the ones that denote the crocodiles. Like, really? What's with the purple flag and crocodiles? I have no idea. I mean, maybe it was Barney. Barney was a dinosaur, but Barney was purple, right? Maybe I don't know. Anyway, if you ask me, they need to have a flag with a crocodile on it, don't you think? Makes sense to me. Anyway, call me old-fashioned. Purple is crocodiles. Okay? Of course, naturally. Now, my personal opinion about getting in the water is, you know what? If you want to get in the water, pick a place with a pool. Or buy a resort pass, like one of those resort pool passes, like a day pass, if you need to get in the water. I actually, believe it or not, I never get in the ocean when I'm here around town. There are places south of town where I'll get in, but those are calm places where the water is calm and won't carry me out to sea. There's places in Conchas Chinas where they've got little pools, kind of little tide pools that you can kind of get in and swim around in. Maito, no, no way. The water's clean, but it's really rough. Tehuamixle, absolutely. It's clean, it's calm, and beautiful, of course. Yalapa, Las Animas, Camixto, those beaches, they're all good. They're clean on calm days. Or you can hire my friend Mario and his panga for the day, and he'll take you snorkeling and beach hopping and even fishing if that's your thing. But, he's great. He'll drop you off in some really, really safe little swimming holes with colorful fish. And, of course, he supplies the masks and he supplies the snorkels and fins and everything. So, use Mario. That's a good way to go. But, hey, here's the thing. If you're going to go into the ocean on your own, just make sure you know how to swim before you do it, okay? And don't get too drunk. The ocean deserves some respect. Stay safe. Be careful. You're in paradise. You want to return home in one piece. Por favor. Speaking of drownings and water safety in paradise, Puerto Vallarta just opened its first of 12 planned lifeguard towers. This is from Banderas News, dated April 16th. Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, with an eye towards enhanced coastal safety. On Monday, Puerto Vallarta inaugurated a new lifeguard tower at Camarones Beach. This action, spearheaded by the Luis Munguia administration, initiates a broader strategy to safeguard visitors during the busy Semana Santa and Pascua holidays. The freshly erected tower will function as a central point for rescue teams, enabling rapid responses to emergencies and fostering a safer, more enjoyable beach atmosphere, highlighting their direct impact on the effectiveness of emergency response teams. These towers are not merely installations, but lifelines for our visitors, he stated, encouraging responsible use and care. The broader initiative, as detailed by Misal Lopez Muro, Director of Civil Protection and Firefighters, will see a total of 12 towers strategically placed across the bay's most frequented beaches. 6 large towers, along with 6 medium-sized counterparts, will provide extensive coverage along the Banderas coastline. Although the first tower is already operational, the rest will be gradually installed during the holiday period, which runs from April 11th to the 27th. Notably, these towers are constructed using sustainable, recyclable materials, demonstrating a harmonious blend of public safety and environmental consciousness. The city's dedication to both visitor security and ecological responsibility underscores its endeavors to offer a superior Easter holiday experience. And I have a link to that article from the Banderas News in the show notes. So good news for beachgoers. Soon there will be 12 of those lifeguard stations on Vallarta beaches. Unfortunately, the 2 drownings last week couldn't have had better endings, right? All right, let's get out of the pool. Let's get to our first interview with my friends Susie and Russ Panzer, my fun foodie friends from New York, Nueva York. We met Susie and Russ because of the podcast. They're listeners who, over the years, I've been in touch with for, through their Instagram page. Interestingly enough, it's called Vallarta Info, and they post mostly food porn. And of course, it's from Puerto Vallarta, thus the name. And they go to some pretty cool spots. Well, we finally had a chance to meet Susie and Russ. They let us know they were in town and they wanted to get together with us for drinks. So we invited them up to our place, and then they invited us up to their place. We had a couple of great dinners, and we really hit it off well with Russ and Susie. Susie told us a story about how she met Kevin McGinnis, who we had on the show a couple weeks back with his wife Inga, if you can remember. We talked about the walk and wobble and tacos and happy hours. And, well, if you haven't listened to that podcast episode, you got to go back. I'll link it in the show notes here. Kevin and Ingo, they were great. They also had some invaluable information, so I'll definitely link that. Anyway, she told me about how she and Russ were in Vallarta, and Russ wasn't feeling too well, or maybe I think maybe he had some sort of a mobility issue at that time. I don't recall. But she wanted to walk up to the cross, and she didn't want to go alone. The one that overlooks the whole city above the downtown area of Puerto Vallarta, the La Cruz. And she used her Facebook app, and she asked Kevin, without ever having met him in person, if he could show her how to do the walk, how to get up there. And to her surprise, never having met her, and he said, yeah, I'll do it. And he did. And as a result, they became really, really good friends over the years. And it was through Russ and Susie that I was actually introduced to Inga and Kevin. I've been stalking Kevin and Inga actually for some time before Susie and Russ set up an interview for me. We had that interview over at Restaurant El Moro Paraíso, one of the top 3 kick-ass margarita restaurants in Vallarta, I've got to tell you, and that's according to me. So I will tell you that it's in the top 3. And I asked Russ and Susie if after we record the interview with the McGinnises, if they would agree to let me interview them as well. And they graciously agreed to do so. And I'm so glad that they did. So they're so cute. So let's go right now and meet a really fun couple who know how to eat and have fun and keep active in paradise. They're not fat, right? They move around. They're really active. So let's go right now. Let's go off to Restaurant Moro Paraíso up the Rio Quale in Paseo de Guayabo, Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. All right.
See?
Susie, Russ, thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you. Great to
Thank
be here.
you. This is a pleasure.
Tell us about yourselves, where you're from, and what was your path that led you here to Puerto Vallarta?
We were both born and raised in Queens, New York.
Uh-huh.
And the path was a good one. We had opened a Southwest credit card, and the points were expiring. And go ahead, Russ, take it away. Because
so we went online and looked at the map. Where can we fly to? We were looking for a vacation with the points, and we saw Puerto Vallarta. And I was like, wow, the only thing I had ever heard about that before was maybe the Love Boat back when.
I said, is it warm there?
And it's warm here. So we booked it, and the rest is history.
That was in 2018.
2018. All right. So did you do your homework? When you got here, did you know what to do?
Well, we're Bonvoy members, so we wanted to stay in a Bonvoy property. So there was the Westin and the Marriott and the Marina and the Sheraton in the hotel zone. So we decided to do 5 nights in the Marina and 5 nights at the Sheraton.
Okay. And worked out good.
Yes,
How
it did.
How do you like the Sheraton?
We love the Sheraton because it's walkable to downtown and to lots of great areas. Very walkable.
Right. And the rooms are okay?
The rooms are beautiful. All the rooms have oceanfront views. Really?
And there's restaurants there too, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of nice restaurants there. We generally don't go to them because we like the local places, but there's a really nice sports bar there as well.
Right.
So it's got a lot of options. If you're looking for a hotel, I think it's a great place.
Okay. Because I get a lot of people, they ask, say, hey, I want to stay in a hotel. I want to stay in a resort or a hotel or something like that, but I want to stay in town. And to me, it's like, are there really good ones out there? And because for me, I'm Mr. Airbnb. I like do it myself. But a lot of people, they want to have someone turn down their bed or be able to, I guess, have breakfast or something like that. I don't know.
Sure. Yeah, no, it's a great option for a hotel. We like Airbnbs as well, but if you're looking for a hotel, it's definitely a good option in our opinion.
Okay.
There's 2 beautiful pools. So, yeah, a lot of room.
Yeah.
It's very spread out.
Okay. All right. Well, then you suggested there's one for you guys if you're all asking for that. That's a good choice. But what about the marina? How'd you like the marina?
We liked the marina, but when I went out to walk, I'm a big walker. It wasn't a lot. I didn't feel it was very spacious and a lot of room to walk. So it's nice. It's beautiful. The marina is gorgeous with lots of restaurants and stores, but just not for us.
Right. You're more the romantic zone
town.
And okay. Now, I know you guys you go to a lot of restaurants. I've seen you. You've got like an Instagram page, right?
We do. It's called Vallarta Info.
Yeah.
And it was made in 2019 just out of love of Puerto Vallarta and also just want new people to know about this paradise.
Right. Okay.
And share our love for it.
So when you come here, you're a visitor. You haven't moved here yet, have you?
No, not yet.
I know. Okay. Well, when you come and visit, what do you spend a couple of weeks? What do you do? Like a week or 2 weeks?
Yeah, usually we're here for a couple of weeks, close to a month or something like that. So we've been adding a couple of days each year.
Okay.
Yeah, but usually it's just about a little under a month at the current time. Yeah.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah.
So, but you do a lot of eating out. Because I look at this Vallarta info page, and I go, wow, I haven't been there, and I haven't been there. So, you guys, you go to a lot of different places, right?
We do. I have a long list.
Really? All right. So,
and it's rare we go back to a place twice unless we love it.
Right. Okay. All right. We'll talk about some of your favorites that you go back to twice and 3 times and all that stuff. But let's talk about some of these treasures out here. What do you like? What's your favorite?
Yeah, Susie has a list of probably about 500 restaurants and places, so it's hard to keep track of things. We do have some favorites that we like to go back to, of course.
Right.
Susie mentioned Los Lirios. It's a local place that we really like.
So when you go to Los Lirios, what is it? It's seafood there, right?
Yes, it is.
So what's your favorite dish there? What do you like?
Generally, we get the seafood salad and the shrimp empanadas.
Okay.
They're phenomenal.
They make great shrimp empanadas, so we keep going back for that.
Excellent. Okay. Do they
And margaritas.
Yeah, they got a bar.
They
them
do. They
together?
do. Their
Okay.
margaritas good. Not fishbowl margaritas,
No?
but
They don't. But good enough, right?
yes,
It's acceptable.
excellent.
Yes.
Okay. Good. All
And
right.
good flan too.
Really?
Yes, they
Is
have
there
their
such
excellent
thing?
flan.
I'm sorry. I have to say that. So, come on, give me some more. What others do you like?
Yeah, so I mean the list is pretty endless, but everything from the taco stands and all the food, all the food stands around town, which we really love. The birria tacos for breakfast and things like that, which we really like.
Yeah.
Just the places on the beach, where you can just sit down and get a lounge chair and get a drink and get something to eat. So
Right.
the options are endless. Some places have beautiful views. Some places just have great drink specials and things like that. So it's really kind of whatever you're into.
Right. And it's hit and miss, right? You just go in there because you haven't been there before. You probably do a little research, right? Don't you do a little,
I do a lot of research.
Yeah, we don't
but
just
there's
go in
so
anywhere. We don't just go in anywhere. There has to have been some research done.
Okay, so
Definitely.
you kind of like check out their Facebook page, you look at some reviews, and then maybe even check and see what you want to eat on the menu and go for it there, right?
Definitely.
sure.
Definitely.
Yeah.
All right, now what are some surprises? What do you run into that's just
Well,
kind
I
of
was
crazy?
I never told you about where we went for where we wound up for New Year's Eve.
Yeah, what did you do?
Yeah, New Year's Eve. There were for New Year's Eve there were a lot of set menus, and we weren't really looking for that. So we actually wind up at this little tiny place called Il Pesce.
Mm-hmm.
And it wound up being excellent and one of my favorite restaurants here.
Really?
The food was phenomenal, and it wasn't a set menu. It was a small menu, but we had swordfish sashimi that was unbelievable. We had lamb chops and tuna over angel hair pasta, and the best key lime pie we've ever had.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
so it was like a big surprise, but a very small restaurant, and
It's,
the staff was nice.
Is it Italian mostly? Is it
It's like
or
Italian
not?
seafood.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
And they gave us some champagne, with dessert, complimentary. It was really nice.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, and they didn't have a set menu for that night, or
Just a small menu, and you didn't have to do like a price fix, so
okay.
it worked out. Yeah,
Very, very
So
nice. All right.
was-
So, what else? What would you say is you have like a favorite taqueria? You got a favorite taco stand?
We go to the Carnizza place downtown, in the Zona Romantica.
We
were
like to. There's a
there.
bunch of taco places over by the Pharmacy of Guadalajara that everyone's aware of, that we really like. And there are just random ones around town. I don't know the names off the top of my head.
Okay.
Just kind of by sight. Don Chiva was really good. That's another taco place that we went to recently, which we've been recommending.
Yeah. Yeah.
We really like that one. And just in general, I mean, we look at Kevin's map and things like that to find good taco places.
Yeah. And okay, there you go.
And
Remember
we
that.
love his on Facebook. I take notes and
Yeah, and so that's how you do it. That's how
yes,
it's done.
yeah, a lot on Facebook.
All right. Now you went
lot of
to a
this.
place I guess a couple nights ago that was in Versailles. That was was it a taqueria? What was it like? What was that? We were just talking about that.
Oh, we went to Abalone.
Okay.
That one is excellent. Yes, they have I think they're famous for their shrimp al pastor tacos, which are excellent. They also have excellent margaritas.
Yeah, we really do like the Versailles neighborhood. It's not far from the Sheraton. That's one of the reasons we like staying there. And you can walk over there, and there's just restaurants all over the place, and new ones popping up all the time.
Right.
So it's
right.
a cool area to just walk around or explore. We like
And
it a
the
lot.
construction, condo buildings are going up, and
Yeah.
it's a nice area.
It's building. It's building up. But
Yeah.
every time I look, there's another restaurant opening
Yep.
up in Versailles. So, you have any favorites there in Versailles?
Well, that was that one. I was going to talk about a new restaurant that just opened not too long ago, within the year. I went there the other day for breakfast, called Bixabil.
Yeah. It's on El San Salvador.
Yeah, it was excellent. Yeah.
Yeah? Yeah,
And
what'd you get?
they're just opening for dinner. They're just starting a dinner menu.
Okay.
What did I get? Some kind of chilaquiles that the waiter had recommended. But the food was excellent. It was busy. I would definitely go back to that place.
Okay. Vixabio.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very good. All right. What else? What else you got there?
Some new ones. We went to Casa Nicole for the first time for brunch. Casa Nicole is an excellent brunch place. We love that place.
Mhm.
That's new. You know, that was on the list, and it definitely a repeat. So if you get a repeat in my book, it means it's
It
good.
wins. It wins. It's a winner.
Yes. Yeah. So we would definitely go back there.
Okay.
The birria place that we like after we go to the Cross. When I go to the Cross, it's Birria Alex. Is a good place to go after the Cross because you'll be very hungry after you do the Cross, which I do numerous. I did it this morning.
You did.
I did.
Oh,
it's my
you're
favorite
that's why you're
exercise to
so
do.
healthy. That's why you're
I
so
go
healthy.
3-4 times a week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Well,
I join.
if I'm not
I
playing
join in
tennis.
when I can.
I was going to say, you're
Yeah.
up there, Russ. You go for it.
I try sometimes.
All right. Well, so yeah, Birria Alex, or Tacos de Birria Alex is great.
Yes.
And yes, it'll fill you right up. What else you got there?
What else? Oh, we went to Burning Burrito.
Yeah, what's
It's a little
that?
tiny place. Yeah. Oh, and they make a really good Caesar.
Bloody
Caesar.
Caesar.
Yeah.
Oh, it was
Bloody
excellent.
Caesar,
And
which
their
many of
burritos
the
were
Canadians
very
would probably know what that is.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Bloody Caesar
Does
is
it-
like
yeah, it's like a
Bloody
Bloody
Mary,
Mary,
but
right?
it's got clamato instead of just straight
Regular.
tomato juice mix. So it's got an interesting taste that we really like. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really good.
All right.
One of my new favorites.
I just had one this morning in
Cafe San Angel. And
thank you, honey.
Say
Yes.
Cafe San Angel, right on the sidewalk. Huh?
That's right.
Yeah,
right
great,
in the middle
great
of all
view
the
on
action.
Old Olis Atlas. We had some chilaquiles there this morning.
Yeah. I love that place.
Yeah.
I love that place.
That was our first time.
Really. They
Yeah.
got great burgers there.
I
Yes,
heard.
You've
That's on the
heard-
list.
Yeah. One of the best burgers in Vallarta.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah.
That's
In
what I
fact,
heard.
I'm gonna have Raul on the show. I'm gonna have him on
That's
soon.
great.
What
Good.
else you got?
Oh, well, we took a nice trip with a driver last week. You want to tell?
Yeah, tell me about
us.
that.
Go
Yes,
ahead,
we
honey.
did.
With,
I need a new driver for our show. Tell us about this.
Yeah, Susie found the driver Xavier on Facebook, on a Facebook group, and we hired him with a couple of friends, and we went to El Tuito and
Kixmo.
Ki-
Oh, no, not Kixmo.
Mito?
That was another.
You went to
Mito.
Mito,
Mito.
right?
and
Tewa Mixley.
and Tewa Mixlin, yes.
Right.
So we hired him for the day, and we went with 2 other couples, and it was great. We went all over the place, and he drove, and we were able to have drinks at each location and have a real good time. And we even stopped at your Ricea place, Barry, and we picked up
good.
a bottle of Ricea.
Yeah,
So that was really cool. Yeah,
excellent.
secret Ricea place that's
Hey,
getting out there.
Not secret anymore, brother.
That's
Not
right.
secret anymore. All right, so that was all done in one day, right? He picked you up.
He picked us up at 9 in the morning,
Okay.
and we got back around 5, a little after 5.
Really? So
So it
you
was
got
a nice full day.
you got like the tour and the whole thing, and you were like back for dinner.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was
Yeah, it
really
was a
nice.
full
We had a
day.
nice lunch.
Full day. He had a big Sprinter van, very comfortable, very clean, very nice, very safe. So
Right.
yeah, we would definitely recommend him. He did a great job.
How many can he hold? Do you know?
I think he could probably hold. We were 6.
Comfortable.
We were 6. You could probably hold 8 comfortably. Any more than that, it would be a little tight
Okay.
for these because it was a long day of driving,
Right.
and the roads are pretty bumpy up there.
They are.
Yeah.
They are. But he got you back alive.
He did.
I can see that. Yeah, unscathed and reasonably priced, I imagine.
Yeah, reasonably
Yes,
priced. Yeah,
yes.
we split it with 3 couples, so it was definitely
yeah.
reasonably priced. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
All right.
for
Well,
sure.
then this is a way to actually get down to Mito and Tewa and back. You got a little taste of all of those, and you just did it in a day. And you can do it all by yourself, right? Now you can just well, maybe you could. I know you can. No, you can. So let's talk about like these places that you talk about that you go back to, right? Like for breakfast, what would be like your go-to place that you go? I got to go here. We're in Vallarta. Where am I going to have breakfast? Okay, good.
Okay. The first time I would recommend La Palapa. It's right on the beach. It's a beautiful, gorgeous restaurant. So if it's your first time, get your feet wet in the sand, and that's where you could fall in love with Puerto Vallarta.
Oh, yeah. Well, then, and their breakfasts are very reasonable.
Yes,
so,
it is.
You can get here you got a, nice linen tablecloth and you're on the beach and it's not,
Not
won't break the bank. Right?
Exactly. Yeah.
All right. So what else? What would you say would be maybe for lunch, let's say? What would be something that you don't want to miss?
Okay. Another beach place, which just opened on the beach, was La Mara. So that was actually the first day we got here. We wanted to be on the beach and we wanted something light and reasonable. So we went to La Mara.
Yeah.
And it's just a beautiful spot. Well, now they have 2 locations, La Mara.
Right. So they're like right next to the Hotel Los Arcos, aren't they?
Yes,
right now.
yes.
Right. And so there's a place to sit right there. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. You could sit on the beach. So we did that first day we got here in December. Yeah.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
All right.
So that was
what
nice.
else?
Well, we did take an enchilada tour with Memo this year.
Okay.
Yeah, which we've taken
tour.
an enchilada tour.
Seriously? Okay.
Yeah. Well, it was supposed to be a tour, and we wound up doing an enchilada tour with Memo, and it was great. And he took us to Luncheria Don Jorge.
Yeah.
The enchiladas there were amazing.
Really?
So that's a little hidden hole in the wall place.
Right. Now, where is that place? Is it like it's
right in
not
Centro.
far from the
it's
river.
Kind of right over the bridge in Centro.
Okay.
It's right over there. It's a popular place. You probably pass by it a lot of times.
Yeah.
And,
probably on Libertad, right?
It could be. Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
It's a busy
Yeah. So Memo
place.
introduced us to that this year.
Excellent.
Yeah,
I love when he takes us to new places.
Yeah, we met Memo like the first year we were here. He gave us a tour of the sculptures and the Malecon and everything. And we've met him a couple times since, and he's walked us around and taken us to a bunch of cool places. So he's a real good guy, and he's a real good tour guide. We see him all over town.
Yeah.
Highly recommended. Absolutely.
And I'll actually have his info in the show notes. So if you're looking for a good taco tour or anything like that, he's your man. He's very knowledgeable.
Sure. Yes.
Yeah, he is. What about dinner? What would be the one place that you don't miss when you go out and have a dinner?
I mean, it depends on, do you want something casual or you want something fancy?
Well, okay, let's talk about both. Let's look at your casual. Let's talk about that first.
Well, we went to Don Chava for the first time this year, and we really enjoyed that a lot.
Yeah.
That was
simple taco place right in the romantic zone. That's just really good.
Right,
that's really good, and it doesn't have the same kind of lines that you go to Pancho's. Pancho's Tacos is the most famous place. You have to wait online for a half hour or so. You can get into this place, fairly quickly.
Yeah.
So
I saw that they had a little line the other day.
Yeah. No, it's a great place. But if you don't want to stand on a line for a long time, sometimes you have to go with other options.
It
was really good.
Yeah.
And if you want to go high end, you have a lot of really good restaurants in this town from, Cafe des Artistes to the ones up on the hill, Casa Kimberly and all the ones up there with all the beautiful views.
Right.
So the sky's the limit. It's really whatever your budget is and whatever kind of meal you're looking for.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
What is it? What is it?
El Barracuda
right.
is a good one on the beach. Pretty, in between, not too expensive and not inexpensive, but beautiful views.
Yeah.
So that's one we recommend.
Very good. Very good. Yeah, it's a very, very laid back, nice place to be.
Yes,
for sure.
Yeah.
Let's see. When you come here, you go places. Have you been up into Nayarit? Have you been to Bucerias at all?
Sure. Yes.
The beaches there are beautiful.
Yeah. A couple of years ago, we hired a similar driver and we went with some friends or other times. Or you could take the bus or an Uber and we go to Sayulita and spend the mornings there before it gets too crazy and party crowd up there.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful, amazing town, Sayulita. I love it. Just, it's definitely a much younger crowd, so you have to know. But in the mornings, it's great. And then we like to come back and stay in Bucerias for a little while and hang out on the beach and just have some lunch or something on the beach in Bucerias.
Right. You got a favorite place there?
I don't know anything off the top of my head. Susie probably has things on her list.
But back to Sayulita. You want to tell your credit card story?
No.
That's out. I guess that's a no.
Back to Sayulita.
Boy, that's
My credit card at a restaurant.
Oh, well,
no, we've never done that before.
well, it's Russ's story.
Okay, so yeah, we were in Sayulita. I left my credit card. We left our credit card at a restaurant. Got back into town, realized where the credit card was, and they, graciously called them, and they held it for us. And Susie went back there a couple of days later with her sister, and they picked up the credit card. So it's not that crazy.
That's a
story,
happy
but,
ending.
No, it was very
but
happy.
The restaurant
And
was
you're
responsible.
on vacation and you lose your
honest.
credit card. It's a little stressful.
Yeah, no
But
kidding.
they straightened it out, and it was really nice.
Oh, very good.
Yeah.
Excellent. All right. I like that. We all like a good old happy ending.
Yeah. Don Pedro was the restaurant.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Okay.
nice people
Yeah.
and a nice restaurant. We've been back since.
Okay. Excellent. What was I going to say? Oh,
Bucerias.
yeah.
We've eaten at Adauto. Ado Beach Club.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so we've had lunch there.
And
It's nice.
nice.
Yeah, and there are a lot of good ones. On my list is Fat Boys. We've never gotten there yet. I know that's a popular one for lunch.
Right.
Yeah, you just plop yourself on the beach, and it's just a beautiful beach anywhere in Bucerias.
What would you say is the fanciest restaurant you've eaten out here?
Cafe des Artistes in
Yeah.
the garden. Yeah, it's just beautiful.
Right. You would recommend that for
Yes,
sure, right?
definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah, special occasion.
For sure.
Yes.
Come on. Well, Russ?
It's a little over the top, but it's nice. It's a little over the top.
Hey, they do the violin. They got the violinist with a piano player somewhere in the background. And
That's
so
right.
that's amazing.
It's very
Yeah.
romantic.
To me, that's just, it's very romantic. It's a girl thing. Come on.
It is. You have to keep your wife happy, right?
Absolutely. Let's see here. If, have you taken a 2-day trip or a 3-day trip? Have you left town for more than just just for the day?
Well, we have not because we don't live here. So, we've really just kind of done day trips. But I know, I know one of your questions is if you had 3 days, where to go.
Yeah.
And I know Guadalajara is close by. And we've been to Guadalajara, and I would say that would be a great suggestion if you lived here or were spending a long time here and we're looking for someplace to go.
Right.
We were in Guadalajara recently, and it's a beautiful city
Right.
with a lot to do. So if I had 3 days, that would be where I would go.
Okay. Very good. And we already know what you do for one day. You'd hop in a van and you go to Maito and Tehuamixle.
Or
Yeah.
north or south, exactly.
Or Sayulita and
Exactly.
Bucerias,
Head
San
north
Pancho.
or head south, one way or the other.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You got a favorite beach that you go to by boat? Any of those things going on?
Yeah, we love Yelapa. We just went to Kixmo. Walked to the waterfall in Kixmo or Yelapa is beautiful.
Yeah.
They're just
We've done the hike from Boca to Las Animas a few times.
Uh-huh.
Amazing hike, and you get to just some beautiful beaches with beach clubs. So it's a nice reward at the end. It's a great hike, and with just a lot of secluded beaches and a lot of things along the way. So it really can't be beat.
Excellent. All right. So do you have any favorite charities you like?
Well, thanks to your show, we learned a lot about Vallarta Cares, and we went and visited. And we've been involved a little bit with donating some money there, on a regular basis.
Yeah.
And we visited, and we think it's a really good cause. So Vallarta Cares would be the one that we work with.
Yeah, if you go there, they'll give you a little tour too. They'll show you around, and they're not shy about showing you what they do. It's kind of neat. Yeah.
it
Yeah,
was
they have
really
a
nice
really
to
great
see
mission,
what they
for
do
sure. Definitely.
and where our money's going.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Exactly. It's amazing what they do there.
Yep. Yeah, and one of the other organizations, American Learning Tree, you had them interviewed on your show.
Right.
And I feel it's very important for anyone who's going to visit a foreign country to know the language at least a little bit. So I started doing some Zoom classes with American Learning Tree, and I did it for about 9 months this year. So it was pretty dedicated. It was twice a week. Their instruction was excellent. And, I had a couple of different instructors along the way, different groups. But definitely improved on my Spanish.
Wow.
And I would highly recommend using American Learning Tree if anyone's interested in something like that.
All right. So there's something to supplement your Duolingo with, right?
Yes,
you actually
exactly.
actually get some real live action going on there, right?
Yes.
Is it Was there a lot of interaction? Was there a lot of that going on in the Zoom call?
Oh, yeah. You have basically they set you up with a class of similar people between like probably 2 to 5 people.
Okay.
So you'll have different people. Some people can't make it every week and things like that. Some of the instructions were individual. So it was pretty much about for like 2 to 3 hours a week of dedicated time. So that really, if you put in that kind of time, you're definitely going to improve.
All right. So, what about words of warning? Got any words of warning for someone first time visitor to Puerto Vallarta?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I have a little bit of advice and words of warning. I would definitely say that you should learn some Spanish and definitely know how to say please and thank you in the basic, Spanish terms so that you can, fit in here and make everyone feel welcome. And as far as words of warning, definitely bring good walking shoes. The streets and sidewalks are a hazard a minute. You really have to watch where you're walking. It's definitely a challenge out there. So I would say pay attention to that.
Right.
I would say just take it easy. Don't come here thinking that you're going to, drink too much tequila and eat too much. I would say you really have to come in here and, take it slow and do the right thing because it's a beautiful city and you really want to be able to enjoy it.
Exactly. So that would be words of warning and a word of advice, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
All right. Well, you guys eat. You guys eat a lot of stuff. You've been to a lot of restaurants. What's the weirdest thing you ever ate?
Cheek, tongue.
Yeah.
I eat it all.
Yeah, you do, right? All right.
Yeah, those cabeza tacos, which have been mentioned, are definitely high on the challenge scale. So
and the
it's
best
gotta be your thing.
And the best taco stand to have that is on the same road as the churro guy.
Right. Yeah, I heard about that. I had a taxista show me. He said, that's the place. I went, okay.
Yeah, he's got great
And
tacos. I recommend it.
Yeah, speaking of the churro guy, that's a lot of fun too. You go over there and there's a stand and they're just making churros right in front of you, hot and crispy and delicious. So I would say
best.
Find the churro stand when you're in Puerto Vallarta.
Yeah, right there next to the church, right next to the Santa Cruz Church is right there. Excellent.
Yep.
All right, so you spend a lot of time here. Right now you're almost spending a month here. So like, what do you do? What other things do you do to keep busy?
We like to play tennis. The Sheraton has great tennis courts, so we do that. We've joined and met new friends at the Sheraton Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. They have a nice group, so we do that. This is the first year on Facebook. I found out that they had a Mahjong group at Andales.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, Mahjong.
All
it's
right.
a great game.
Really?
It's a tile game.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of fun. And I just showed up with my Mahjong card and there were 3 ladies sitting at the table and they said, do you play Mahjong? I said, yes. They said, do you have a Mahjong card? I said, yes. They said, well, then sit down and play.
Wow. And did you kick their butts?
I did. They actually play for some pesos.
Oh, really?
So, yeah.
There's gambling going on over
Oh,
there.
a little bit, yeah.
All right. So this is over at Andales on what day?
Andales on Mondays.
Every Monday?
Every Monday from 11 to 3, and the women were really nice, welcoming. It was a lot of fun, so I'm looking forward to doing it again next year.
So they got what? How did you said you found them on
Facebook? Yeah. You just Google anything on Facebook. It'll give you, some information.
Oh, wait a minute. Now you give me some ideas.
You might have to learn some Mahjong.
I don't know about that, but there's other things I could Google, right? Never mind.
And Andales is a great place. At night, it's they have great music and dancing, and they actually have a donkey that is outside.
Yes, they do.
For you to sit on and take pictures.
Yeah.
And sometimes you can even ride the donkey into the bar.
That's right. They do that. They still do that, huh?
Yes, they do.
Some people have been known to ride the donkey into the bar.
I did it last year. It was a lot of fun.
Oh, really? Okay. I'll put one in the show
notes. Makes for good memories.
Okay, very good.
That's another story.
Yes. Excellent. Well, all right. Excellent. Anything else? What else did you want to add?
Yeah, and I just, I really just want to thank you for all that you do, Barry. I mean, your show's great. We listen to the podcast every time you put it out, and we really learn a lot about Puerto Vallarta.
Yeah.
And it's been
Thank
great
you.
to meet you guys and friends and Kevin and Inga and all they've done with the Walk and Wobble. We've met friends through that. So there's really a lot of good people in Puerto Vallarta that are really living a good life here.
Yeah. All right. Well, come and
Yeah.
visit everybody, and I'll have links to all these places that you talked about. Put them in the show notes. Remember to go visit their Instagram page. It's called
Vallarta Info.
Vallarta Info. It's very easy.
And we're happy to answer any questions you have.
Right. It's easy to do, and they post beautiful pictures of food. And you look at these places, and you go, "Wow, I didn't even know about this restaurant." So what you do is pretty cool too. I got to tell you, I really thank you for that, because I'm going to go check all those restaurants out eventually. Anything else, Susie?
No,
Russ, anything else?
when we're not here, we look forward to listening to you.
Well, I'll get more than
keep us updated with things going on in Puerto Vallarta.
Well, thank you. Thanks for listening, and thanks for coming on the show, and thanks for sharing what you do and your love of Puerto Vallarta with my listeners. I truly appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much for having us.
It's been
this
great.
is a pleasure. We love it.
Perfect. Good job. Thank you so much, Susie and Russ. You guys know how to have fun. You know how to keep busy. And you know how to pick some really great places to eat. I have links to all of those places that they talked about in the show notes. You can find at www.puertovallartatravelshow.com. Next up, we go to Marina Vallarta, where you're going to be finding actually some studios, a TV studio. CPS Studios, it's called. And my next guest, his name is Brent Lane. I met Brent through other friends of mine and friends of the show as well, Stefan and Ada, who have, they've got a Puerto Vallarta-centered YouTube channel called Living Simply in Mexico. I've had Stefan and Ada on the show a couple times. You may even follow them, or maybe you're even subscribed to your YouTube channel, just like I am. And if you aren't, I suggest that you do. They're great. They're very genuine. They walk you through Vallarta. They've got great information, and I'll link that in the show notes as well. So, Stefan and Ada, they sent out a little invite to a group of local creators in Vallarta, and they included me, which was really nice. Thanks for that. They invited us to have some drinks and some appetizers over at their house up in Gringo Gulch. Beautiful home. And it's there that I met Brent and his lovely wife, Laura, as well as several others who I will be having on the show pretty soon. So keep an eye out for that. But I wanted to get Brent on the podcast because he and his co-host, Jessy Ruiz, put out the only English language television news program about Puerto Vallarta. And it's very professionally produced. It's done in a real live TV studio, and it's a weekly show. It's designed for both expats and tourists alike. So I'm sure that you're really going to enjoy this conversation. And in addition to the television studios, there were also 2 studios that set up specifically for radio. So the audio should be absolutely perfect for this interview. We set up right in the studio for Puerto Vallarta's very own radio station, 98.3 FM Radiante, Asphalt Radio. If you can believe that, it was great. I thought it was pretty cool. And so anyway, let's go right now to Marina Vallarta, to CPS Studios, and let's meet Brent Lane, co-host of the only English language television show in Puerto Vallarta, CPS News with Jessy and Brent, the news that speaks your language, and let's meet Brent Lane in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. Brent, thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. Good to see you again, Barry.
Tell my audience about yourself. Where are you from, and what was your path that led you to Puerto Vallarta?
Good question. So I am originally from Austin, Texas. I've lived I've lived in quite a few places in the USA, but left the USA with my wife in 2015, and we left and traveled the world for an entire year, actually, kind of scouting out the world. Where do we want to live? What do we love? And we ended up settling for 2 years in Hanoi, Vietnam. Moved on from Hanoi, Vietnam, and lived in Cartagena, Colombia. All these places we moved to sight unseen. Left Cartagena, and then we moved to the Yucatan, and we lived in the Yucatan for 2 years. That was our first introduction into Mexico. And then we made the best move of them all, the one to Puerto Vallarta roughly 4.5 years ago, still sight unseen, but we are settled here. We love it here.
Okay, so 4 years now. It's been 4 years since you've
four
been
and a
here.
half years if we're counting.
Wow,
Yeah,
amazing.
Yeah.
All right, so okay, Vietnam. That's kind of interesting.
Thank you.
All right, you were in, Hanoi. You were in all these places. What made Puerto Vallarta stand out? I mean, you were pretty exotic locations, right?
Yeah, very exotic. I would say for me, what stood out, and for my wife, what stood out is we love the outdoor environments here. We were big hikers, scuba divers. I like getting on the motorcycle and riding and just really having a lot of outdoors. And Yucatan was close. The problem in Hanoi was amazing. And Hanoi is one of those places where every day you go out and it's amazing or you almost get killed. And that's the daily life in Hanoi. And that's pretty exciting, actually. But the problem in Hanoi is like half the year it's so polluted you can't go outside. And that's not going to work for us. It can be one of the most polluted places around. I still love it, but that was a problem. Now, Vallarta really, you talk about check boxes. I had a list of check boxes. They weren't checked in the Yucatan, but I'll be darned. All of our check boxes are checked here. I look out my window, I see mountains, I see an ocean I can go diving in, I see roads that go up into the mountains I can ride, I see hiking everywhere. I just think it's an amazing place. And honestly, given how many places we've lived and how many places we've gone to, that's not so easy. To make the top of the list isn't easy at all.
No. You've been a lot of places. So how did that all translate into doing TV?
Interesting. So back in college, I'm not going to say how many years ago that was. I was a radio, television, film major, and I was doing TV and movies and commercials and all of that. And a lot of people are like, oh, that's how it happened. But in reality, for 25 years of my professional career, I never did any of that. I came out of college and the pay was too low. I was like, I got to go find something better to do. And I did. And so, retiring a little bit early and, sometimes when you have had this big job and you've traveled for a living, you've done a lot of things, you kind of lose purpose in life and you lose your direction a little bit. And my wife would absolutely attest to that. And so I needed something. And my bingo card never had a space that said news anchor in Mexico. That's a huge shocker for me and for everybody. But I was fortunate enough to begin working with Jessy Ruiz on Asphalt Radio, which I became the co-host of. I'm not on quite as often now, but as low season comes up, I will be on Asphalt more, and we can talk about that another day. But one day she's like, let's sit down and talk. And we just talked about what are we missing in this community right now, specifically for the English-speaking people that lived here. And we really felt like I had the same problem. It's like, I don't have a reliable source to get real news, not tourist news, not like what are the events of the week, even though that's a part of it. I really wanted real news, and she really wanted real news. And that is when we essentially birthed this thing called CPS News. It's the only English language news program on television in the whole Bahia de Banderas area. And we're about 1.5 years old now.
Okay. Now you tape during the week, and you're it's like one day a week, right?
Today it is one day a week. So we air every Monday evening at 7 p.m. And people can watch that on, if you have cable, and I'm sure most of our listeners don't, but it's 10.1 or 100.1. But most people watch it on YouTube, TV Mar, which is the website, Tribune.travel, and Facebook. So a lot of people are streaming it throughout the week. So yeah, it's on Monday, but I think people watch it Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Right. They're able to catch up with the news. It doesn't matter what day. It's like, it's kind of like a podcast.
It is. You can, I can listen to your soothing sounds and fall asleep any night I want to. And then it becomes a series for me, Barry, actually, because I'll listen to a little bit on Monday, a little bit on Tuesday, and by about Friday, I'll complete the series.
There you go. You see, exactly. We do the same thing with CPS News. Okay, with Jessy and Brent. So
yes.
Tell me, how did you meet Jessy?
Oh, good question. So Jessy tricked me, that little trickster. So about a year and a half, almost 2 years ago now, I started up this little Facebook group called Gen Expats PV, which grew into quite a big and popular group. And it was really growing fast. Like we had about, 10 members when I kicked it off. We had an event and we grew by about 200 to 300 to 400 every week for quite a while. And so the buzz around town really started going because the Gen X, age, there wasn't really a lot going on for that group. And I felt like they were all kind of floundering to get together and how to get together. So I created that group. It created a bit of buzz and Jessy heard about it. So she wrote me a message and said, hey, I'd really love to have you as a guest on the radio. And of course I was like, sure, I'll do that. Sounds amazing. So we met down at a coffee shop and pretty quickly, I'll give her credit. Pretty quickly, she fessed up and said, listen, I don't want you to just come in for one interview. I'd like for you to host a segment on Asphalt Radio. I gladly did it. And I was covering entertainment and all the fun things going on every week and a little bit about what the Gen X group was doing. So it sort of was a give back to me to help the group grow because a lot of the Gen X people were listening and finding out about more events. And that quickly grew into co-hosting the entire radio show. But as I mentioned, I don't do that show quite as much anymore because I'll be honest, the TV program takes a lot of time. Jessy kind of puts all the work in behind the scenes when it comes to the radio show. We both put a lot of work behind the scenes when it comes to CPS. By the time it hits everybody's TV, there's been, days and days of work that go into having a good episode. So that's how we met.
Right. And now, so when you do an episode, you're the writers, you're the producers, you're the whole thing there?
Not everything. That's a great question. People do wonder about that a lot. So what we do, what Jessy does is she will go and she will take the stories from the Mexican news in the mornings all throughout the week. So she'll watch and pull news from Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. She's also on that news broadcast every morning for 2 hours. She works really hard. And what she'll do is she'll pull a collection of stories that we feel really speak to an English-speaking audience here, expat, tourist, whatever it may be. So then the magic behind the scenes is we will either read over that video that's been captured by our amazing team of reporters out there, or we have people that do voiceovers, and then that's where, the writing comes in. We'll take those stories, we'll edit them a little bit more, we'll consolidate them because news stories in Mexico go pretty long. They can go 3 to 4 minutes, and we find that the Western audience is good for about a minute to a minute and a half. So we really have to edit those down a bit. I'll kind of take charge of writing in the transitions, and then together we've worked on the format of the show, and it's really evolved a lot. We have a team of producers, we have a team of editors, so luckily we're not doing that. We've got a full crew that's running that part behind the scenes.
Okay, wow, they take a little bit of that work off your hands, but it does seem like you're pretty busy. How do you choose? I know that it's really difficult as far as being expats and being foreigners in a foreign country, in Mexico. We really are supposed to kind of keep out of their politics and all that stuff. So I imagine that you kind of shy away from that in this show.
Excellent question again. And I don't give out that compliment that often. So you're getting it twice in one show already. It is a tricky subject because I do know where the lines are. So when it comes to election season, for example, when we were, the president, mayor, governors, I really am kind of the police force on whether we're showing favoritism anywhere. I try to maintain neutrality for all of the governmental issues, but even topics and issues that come up that aren't even government related. So, for example, say a local restaurant is having an argument or a fight with a neighbor that says they're being too loud, and then all of a sudden everybody wants to protest out there. It's not that I'm against protest, and it's not like I have, a side in the story, but I really do curtail us telling one side of a story without giving both. And of course, I have to be careful that I also don't fall on one side or the other because honestly, even though it's not government, it falls into that Mexican gray area. And as a newscaster, I don't want to be in a gray area. That's a dangerous place to be. So if, for example, the restaurant wants to come in and they want to talk all about this neighbor that's giving them problems, the first thing I do is I say, okay, well, let's give the people that have the issue a chance to come in. We'll blur their faces. We'll completely make them anonymous. And if they choose to come on, we'll cover that. In that instance, and like I said, I'm not naming names. In that instance, the people didn't want to be on, so I said, that's not going to be a story. And if there is a story on air that is governmental and is taking a side, I either say we're not going to do it, or Jessy, being a Mexican citizen, she can cover it. But we really try to avoid taking sides on something. We really do try to give neutral news, which is probably pretty hard to find these days. And we're very neutral about our news, I think.
Yeah. Well, again, but that makes it harder for you to pick up some news to tell a story because it's sometimes hard to be that neutral guy.
Yeah, no, I agree. It is hard because I am an opinionated person in real life, but I also know there's a time and a place to keep your opinions to yourself, and opinions are valuable, and I'm a human just like everyone else, and I have them, but I also know that people tune in and watch me, and they watch Jessy on the news to get the news, which I really feel is a rare commodity these days in worldwide news. So I do feel, at least in the local news here, you're going to get a very balanced story without leaning any particular direction. I guard that with my life.
Okay, great. That's a great answer. It seems like the show is kind of it's aimed towards people who live here. I think expats who live here. But what if you are just coming to visit? Do you have like a calendar? Do you have like a event calendar that they can kind of check out and see what's going to happen when they arrive?
No, great question. So every week we do cover about 5 to 7 events, which I think is really important because we do live in a tourist area, and it would be amiss of us not to have a section that says, here's the events coming up. We really try to focus on those that are free or charitable, but you know what? CPS News doesn't go on air and stay on air if we don't have a marketing component to it. So we do have commercials. We do have sponsors. We're very transparent about it. So some of the events, of course, they do pay to have them up there, but I don't think that's any different than, any other event calendar you're looking at. So we do cover all the events. We also try to cover topics that we think are important for somebody visiting here. I know you recently came on the studio and you heard a whole story about scams and local robberies and things are going. So we try to also make sure, while the population that lives here, they're pretty familiar with the things that can happen in Walmart's parking lot. Oops, sorry, I said a brand. Sorry, Walmart. Or any other parking lot. You can bleep that out. It can happen anywhere. But I think, we try to make sure every now and then we warn people, like, there are ATM scams out there. There are people that can do things. So events, we try to also let people know, like, what's going on and how to be a safer and also a better tourist here. We try to remind people, how to be a better tourist and how to, accurately tip or how to treat servers. I mean, I would like to think we're affecting change on that. I can't guarantee it, but we try to also convey that as like, how can you also be a guest in this beautiful place we live?
Yeah. All right. Now, I've seen both you and Jessy doing charity events. I saw you doing Changing Lives there over at La Huerta with Eddie and the American English Tree, and then I saw Jessy. She was emceeing an event for Rise, actually, over in their final over there for So You Think You Can Rise. which I think is wonderful. Tell us about some of the events that you've hosted.
No, thanks for asking. I'm so proud of these. So frequently I get asked to do MC events, and I do them mostly always for free, especially if it's a charitable organization. So, some friends of mine actually asked me to MC their wedding. Hint, friends don't ask friends to MC their weddings. It's very, very stressful, and you are. But when I MC'd that wedding, I guess I did a pretty okay job. And some folks there then saw me and asked me to come and MC the Sula event. So I did that event for charity.
Okay, so tell everybody what's Sula.
Yeah, so Sula, thank you. So Sula is one of the organizations here for the betterment of dogs. So they take care of the dogs. They bring them in. They probably have at least 300 no-kill rescues there. And then I became all of a sudden the dog MC guy. So then you have a NECA Foundation, very similar. They're a private shelter for dogs. Friends of PV Animals asked me to come in and do their event, also at La Huerta. And it was the second year in a row, because you mentioned doing Changing Lives. So that's the second year in a row Eddie's had myself and Jessy come and MC that event. And what a cool event. I know you guys were there, up there in the grandstand somewhere, but that event really, really is my vibe. And it's such a great cause, Changing Lives. They're sponsoring children to learn to speak English and give them that transferable skill to hopefully better their life and really make a change for them. And so Eddie does such a great job, but I'm always open. If your event is truly for charity, you can show me the transparency of that. I love to get up there. I love to present to people, and I love to give energy to it. I even did the chili cook-off, so I guess I'm chili on the side too. But I just love to do events like that, especially if it's giving back to the community, because that's just the point where I am in my life. I'm fortunate enough to be in a position where I just want to give back to the community and really try to help as much as I can through entertainment, news, and the charitable events I do.
That's great. Wow. So chili and dogs. Chili dogs.
Chili dogs. There you go. I don't think we should truly mix those.
Maybe
yes.
not. Maybe not a good idea. All right. Speaking about doing things for the community, let's leave this area here and let's go out to Puerto Vallarta. Let's talk about things that you like, places that you like to eat, places that you like to go. If you were going to go to a breakfast in Vallarta, what would be your favorite place? What would be the place that you would
free
go?
Plug here. All right, I'll give that one out. So my wife and I, this is not very local, and it's not very Vallarta, it's not very Mexico, but I lived here a long time. You can't eat Mexican food for every meal. It's just the way it is, even if I'll get yelled at on social media for saying that. At the end of the day, my wife and I do love to go over to Fluffy's for those Japanese pancakes, having lived in Southeast Asia for 2 years. That really hits close to home for us. But the nice thing is I can order Japanese pancakes. I don't know if you've ever had one.
Nope.
They almost float away. They're so light and fluffy and crazy. They're nothing like a pancake. People get very confused by them. But you can get them on a combo plate with chilaquiles right beside them.
Wow.
Yeah, so you got a Japanese Mexican kind of thing. Now, they've got a couple locations. One's in Versailles and one's downtown. But I think, and they were in the Best of PV Awards. They were a top 3 or some are top 10 nominee. But Fluffy's is one of our favorite places. Yeah.
Really? Okay, I've heard about it. I guess I got to go.
Yes.
All right. So wait a minute here. Let's go back to this the best of and stuff like that, because you were nominated for.
I was nominated. Thank you. Best contributor to the area, to Puerto Vallarta, which. To me, gosh, there were some amazing people in there. I'm surprised to have been nominated. I'm surprised to have made the top 3. When you look across those nominations, Trisha Lyman's in there. We all know Trisha. Pam Thompson made the top 3 along with me. And actually, Pam won the award. But the fact that, I was at Coco Cabaret, Jessy actually emceed that event. And to see my name up with and some of the other characters was like Francie Wynn, who's a great friend. I mean, again, you're talking about people, Lisa from Rise. I mean, just I'll see these people that do so much.
Yeah.
And here's this guy who does the radio and TV and some MC stuff. And, it's the old, it's the old, I'm not worthy. I'm not worthy. But I take it with grace and I take it with pride. And, huge thanks for all those that voted for me. And again, Pam Thompson, congratulations. I utilize your services too in terms of healthcare. But yeah, it was an absolute honor to be nominated. Thank you.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Well, let me tell you. Well deserved.
Thank you.
And and with that, you can take us to lunch. So, where would you go to lunch if you were going to go? Let's just say for like a medium priced lunch somewhere.
Medium priced lunch. Well, I am a Texan, so. Unfortunately, my favorite barbecue so far doesn't deliver, but I'm going to order out from Little Piggy Barbecue.
Okay.
You probably haven't heard of it.
No.
They're brand new. I discovered them at the chili cook-off. So there you go. We tie it all together. And there's this guy who's making chili and putting smoked brisket into it. And being from Texas, I could identify that smoked brisket in that chili. And I was like, that is damn good brisket in my best Texas accent. And so I walked over and I chatted with him. And he said, I've got the startup business called Little Piggy. And I'm doing barbecue here. And, come to find out he's actually Canadian. I was like, a Canadian doing Texas barbecue, but this guy nails it. So I would actually call up the owner. I would tell him, let's get some barbecue. Let's go sit on down by that pool, eat that brisket, eat those burnt ends, eat that sausage and those ribs. And I would just go to town. And if we weren't doing barbecue, then I'm going to take you over to Burger Station, which is my choice for best burger in Vallarta.
Oh, yeah? Where's that?
Yeah, so it's over like Pitial area. We actually, because burgers are kind of fattening, so they say, my wife and I will actually walk from the marina. We'll take the Pitial Trail all the way to Burger Station. So we'll do about a 2-hour walk to get there.
Yeah, wow.
Eat those burgers and then and fill up and then come on back. So Burger Station, look it up. It's really great.
Okay.
And Little Piggy, that's where we're eating. And we're eating heavy.
Yeah, no kidding. So, but now Little Piggies, that's just an order to go. That's not, they don't have a sit-down place.
Today, he is just ordered to go, but he'll do like plated, so you don't have to order by the kilo or anything like that. And again, I'm just a big fan, and I kind of feel like I discovered them because I found him at the chili cook-off. They really hadn't kicked off yet. Then I started talking about it in my Gen X group. Then I had a bunch of people come over, and we ordered for like 10 people, and everybody's minds were blown.
Wow.
So I'm a big fan, and very picky about barbecue, by the way.
I believe you. I believe you. So, but that's like what, like Uber Eats? I mean, you have to order it like that, or you just go to the counter and take it?
You can go and walk up, and I think he gives a bit of a discount. I'm not going to quote on that. Or if you order from him online, I think you get the little Uber Eats upcharge. But, I think you can find him pretty easily on social media. He's been doing a really good job of putting the menu out there. But yeah, so go check it out, eat the barbecue. And if you don't like it, well, then you just don't like Texas barbecue.
That's the way it is. I'll have the links of all these things, by the way, in the show notes. You can find it at www.puertovallartatravelshow.com. Dinner. How about date night dinner?
Date night dinner. Well, again, being on TV, I know a lot of these owners, but honestly, this is not a, hey, buddy, let me take care of you slap on the back, because honestly, I'm not going to tie my name to any restaurant that I wouldn't have you go or any of your listening audience go to and have any chance of being at a bad meal. And again, I'm going Asian again. I know, I'm sorry. I'm sure you get a lot of Mexican recommendations. You know all the restaurants, but this time I'm going Asian. I'm going with Canto.
Really? Yeah.
Canto's a little newer. I think it's got a lot of buzz right now. Jeremy and his husband are doing an amazing job. Again, the secret sauce, kind of like pho, Let's Pho. You have an owner and a chef who's actually from that area. So, of course, having lived in Vietnam, I was hard on Let's Pho, but I'm also pretty critical of Canto. So his husband Henry is from Hong Kong. They're doing traditional Cantonese meals. And for me, my two go-tos into the Asian food here, and anybody can like any of them, and I know there's a lot that are popular, but my go-tos are going to be Canto or Let's Pho, and either of those honestly would be my date out with my wife, and she would be super happy about it.
I bet. There you go. Well, I've just heard of Canto, and we walk past that almost every day, and they're busy. They're like packed almost every night.
Make a reservation. Yeah,
Right?
Yeah, so you can make a they have a nice little online portal to make a reservation. Go in there, tell Jeremy, hey for me, because he knows me well, and I do point a lot of people that way. But I proudly point them that way because I've taken a lot of people there that have never been there, and nobody has walked out ever saying that didn't blow me away.
Well, that's fantastic. They're, by the way, they're right next door to Tony's Please, if you know where that is, or over in Lázaro Cárdenas, over in Zona Romantica. How about when you cut out of town for a day? What's your favorite place to get out just for a day, coming back the same day?
Yeah, absolutely. So for me, it's I love to jump on the motorcycle and ride straight on up to San Sebastian. San Sebastian is like this little hidden gem to us. Not that hidden, but I guess, it's nice. It's a nice break from the heat and low season. I'm from Texas. I'm not as affected by it, but it is a nice about 20-degree Fahrenheit difference up there. You get up there, you go up those cobblestone streets, you're about 7,000 feet up or something like that, and you can go stay. Like last time we stayed there, he doesn't own it anymore, so it's hard for me to recommend this one because I don't know what it is now. But the Airbnb we stayed at, he actually raised goats there. There's a guy named Henry. I'll say his name, but he's moved on. And Henry had about, oh my gosh, probably about 20 or 30 of these little tiny pygmy goats. And so every morning, my wife and I would get up. She'd go out and do a little yoga. The goats are jumping on her and standing on her.
Goat yoga. Not
yeah,
goat yoga.
It literally is goat yoga. Yeah, no, literally. And we just loved it. But it's such a charming little town. One of the things we really love to do is we love to go up there. They have a little boutique hotel up there, and you can sit down there. You can sit outside. Sometimes you'll see the fog roll in, almost San Francisco Bay-ish, and the temperature just drops, and it's just such an amazing experience and gourmet food. And I mean, San Sebastian, you can hike up to La Bufa. You can ride a motorcycle up there. It's tiny, so it's great for the day trip for sure, or an overnight, but that is my getaway, and it's my getaway because the only other place that's kind of like that we love would be Guanajuato, but Guanajuato is too far for a day trip. You've got to get out there past Guadalajara, but also just similar cool vibe, a little bit bigger town, but San Sebastian's my spot.
Absolutely. Well, how about a 3-day trip?
All right, so this one I'm cheating, because I haven't been there yet.
Okay,
but I'm ready to take that 3-day trip, and I'm sure your other guests have already been there. Oaxaca. I've been all over Mexico.
Yeah.
So when we left the Yucatan, and with me, short answers always have long stories. So when we left the Yucatan during a pandemic, we literally jumped into our Jeep, drove across the entire country for about 7 days. We saw all kinds of Orizaba, just all these amazing places in Puebla, and we got all the way over here to Puerto Vallarta. We've also driven all the way from Vallarta all the way up through Monterrey and back to the U.S. So I feel like we've done some pretty big road trips. We've seen a lot of Mexico, but somehow, some way, I have not been to Oaxaca or Chiapas yet, and they're high on my list. I get a lot of great feedback about them. We are foodies. We are coffee snobs. So Oaxaca is my 3-day trip, but it's not because I've been there yet, just because I know everybody's told me how great it is. So maybe we'll do it. I'll report back to you.
That would be good. I think I'll get back to you on that for sure, because I want to go. If you had a word of advice for someone coming to Puerto Vallarta for the first time, what would that be?
It's going to be a self-serving answer, but I'm going to be honest with you, and I tell people this on Facebook all the time. I tell them to tune into CPS News with Jessy and Brent, honestly, and it's almost like a commercial, but honestly, people come here, they don't know the events that are happening. They're asking, is it safe to go here? Is it safe to go there? Can I do this? What do I need to watch out for? What's going on? I'd like to see a sporting event. What's the government doing? I literally tell people, pull away from social media a little bit, tune into the news, use a different platform, and we do cover it every single week, and it's timely. And I know it sounds self-serving. I know I get it. But at the end of the day, I think we do answer a lot of these questions. And I think for your listeners who watch the show, they'll see that I feel like we're almost talking to them. We really try to keep that show not as, I think that the Western news in the U.S. is a little more buttoned up, but we really try to look into these cameras. We really try to talk to people. We really try to give them advice that's pertinent to them living here or visiting here. Even today, we had a travel segment on that really dug into all the questions you might have about residency here. What are the current requirements? Because again, if you go online and you look all this up, you might not be getting the latest information. Well, our news is every Monday and we always film and we always have it. So it answers a lot of those questions. And I think that's going to be my bit of advice, is to watch my newscast.
Okay. All right. I like that idea. So over this last year and a half, doing shows, what would you say, thinking back, is probably the most impactful or maybe even the most shocking story that you've told?
Yeah. There's been a lot of them, honestly. And like I said, I'll go back to a previous question about having to be real careful about, what is said and what isn't said. But before we went on air, obviously we were in the pilot stage, and during the pilot stage, we filmed like 6 different pilots before we went on air. And at that time, I was really sharing the upcoming newscast with people. And the feedback was like, oh, you're going to be a tourist show. You're going to give the beach and the wind reports and where to eat. And honestly, I told people, we're real news. And we came right out of the gates. I remember the very first story we covered like it was yesterday, and without naming names or going back to that day, our very first story was a government corruption story, and it was very dark and it was very scary. And right out of the gates, we covered it, and it ended up in the end. It ended up. There's a government official on the run. I mean, it was kind of a crazy story. And I feel like our second story, we had video of a policeman beating up an Uber rider on the side of the street. And so while, overall, yes, these were impactful, but I think that the most impact was that I don't think any of us knew how hard we were going to come out on air. And that the very first story on air ever, the one that I read, was such an impactful story. I mean, it was a story about corruption. In the same story was murder, was a disappearance, and other things that I don't want to talk about. And luckily, all you listeners that haven't been here, that's not the norm. That one just happened to be the one out of the gate. So good for us. We have a lot of heartwarming stories, and a lot of them are really the sports stories, because we get to cover a lot of like the Special Olympics type of things, or we cover like the youth here that are doing amazing things and being recognized on national stages. So to counterbalance that, a lot of stories we follow up with like, oh my gosh, that's amazing news. And then we're kind of like, well, okay, back now to the news. But it's so great to get an uplifting story. And sometimes we need it, because sometimes the news isn't all uplifting.
Right. Well, but I just watched your taping, and for the most part, you guys were pretty uplifting. Gotta say.
Thank you. Thank you. We try to keep it light when we can, but we also, sometimes on the news, you need to pre-read your stories, because I have been known to come into a story and go, oh, in our next story today, there was a fatality. Oh, okay. So the things that happen behind the scenes, well, luckily that doesn't happen. We get to practice and read ahead of time. And by the time we go live, we've got that. But thank you. I appreciated you coming in and seeing how it all happens, and know that, you're invited, your lovely wife's invited to come by the set anytime for a viewing, just like anybody in Vallarta. If you want to see how it all happens behind the scenes and how a filming of CPS News happens, just let us know, reach us, and you've got the website and the contact form you can show. And we love, I mean, if you can't tell, I love having a live audience.
Yeah. You did well, I gotta say. And I think live audience kind of helps, it helps the talent, right? It gives them a little bit of extra power there, right?
It really does. It takes everything in my power during a newscast not to like say, how y'all doing out there? Or like put up an applause sign. I mean, all of which is not appropriate for a newscast, but I do love to look out to the couches we have and see an audience out there really focused in and really learning about, what a Mexican TV station's like, and how similar it is to one that you would see in the US or Canada or anywhere in the world. And I think it shocks a lot of people.
So, Brent, I see during the recording session, you're working with Mexicans who don't speak English, right?
That's absolutely correct. So it can be quite challenging. So if you think about it, while we're on air, we have a production team, a team of people putting it together who don't speak English, maybe a word or two here and there. which is fine. We live in Mexico, but our English is a newscast. I'm sorry, our newscast is in English. So that's kind of the point of it. So you can imagine being on air, talking to our viewers, and somebody who does not speak native English or maybe doesn't understand English at all is running the teleprompter for myself or for Jessy. And you got to be quick on your feet. And sometimes it's okay. Look down at the iPad, figure things out. So it is challenging. And I respect our production crew for what they do and how they do it. But I could only imagine being in their shoes, trying to run a teleprompter in Spanish or trying to make sure we're going to the right camera. As a matter of fact, some behind the scenes piece of it is imagine yourself, you're on television, you're talking to your viewers live, you're reading a teleprompter with a story, and at the same time, you've got an earpiece in where somebody in Spanish is telling you all the instructions of what's coming up. So I'm reading a story, trying to be natural. I'm trying to convey the story. The camera is on me while somebody in my ear is telling me in Spanish, okay, Brent, after this one, you're going to go to camera 2 and it's in 4 seconds. And all of that is happening while I'm presenting that story to you. So this isn't to pat myself in the back, but it's hard sometimes. And it's hard for them. And it is a hard newscast to put together, but I think we do a quality job.
Yeah. All right. Well, CPS is not just in Vallarta, right? It's around, I read that they're in Baja. Where else are they?
Yeah, Baja, Monterey. So we don't broadcast to those areas. Ours is local, and we try to stay local with that. But yes, it is a big, big company. It's owned by the group that also owns like Garza Blanca and all that. So, there's big ownership here. It's a very real studio. And it is in multiple places in Mexico. We're just happy to be what I think is the best place in the Puerto Vallarta segment. So I'm very happy about that.
Well, you have the studios here, they're beautiful, top notch. This is first rate area.
Thank you.
And is there anything I missed? Is there something that you wanted to talk about that we didn't talk about today?
No, you asked a lot, which is great. I feel like we've covered a lot. I really do love this place, and again, come find me. I'm not a shy person, if you can't tell. If you like what I'm doing, if you don't like what I'm doing, if you like what Jessy is doing, or vice versa, tap me. I get tapped on my shoulder the most at Costco, it would seem. But say hi. I love it. We were on a boat cruise not that long ago for New Year's, and the husband's like, "Oh, my wife, she watches you all the time, and she loves it, but she's shy." So of course I seeked her out immediately. So if you're shy, maybe don't tell your husband. But it's I honestly don't take any of it for granted. So I think the only thing I would say is, like, if you see me out and about, say hi to me. I'd love to talk to you about the news. I'd love to invite you to a program. I'd love to tell you how to be part of it. I recently created a segment called Voices of Vallarta, and it's an interview segment. We interview somebody for about 5 to 5.5 minutes each week. So if you're a part of a charity, if you've got a business, definitely inquire with us and come sit next to me. I do those interviews one-on-one, and I'll be honest with you, everybody is unequivocally said that was great. It was easy, and I wish it would have gone even longer.
Well, all right. Well, there you go. So tell us again, how do we find CPS News with Jessy and Brent?
Yeah, if you want to know about CPS News, Asphalt Radio, or anything that we're up to in this community, I actually put together a website, and I'm sure you'll share it with your podcast listeners. It's called JessyandBrentPV.weebly, WEEBLY.com. And the reason I created that is I just don't want to send people off to search YouTube, because we are on YouTube and we are on a lot of different platforms. But that platform is going to kind of let you know about us, what we're up to, what events are going on in the community. And you can always find the current newscast as well as every single newscast that's on YouTube. So it's just an easy way as a central hub to find us.
Very good. Very good. And then eventually I'll get back here. We'll talk with you and Jessy again about the radio show.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it. And the good news is, with low season coming, I'll be on radio more. I'd love to have you on as a guest, as well as a guest on television.
Oh, well, all right. probably do better on the radio part. I don't have a face for TV, but we'll do what we can here.
You'll do just fine, I know, but I would love to have you in the seat next to me on both shows.
Well, that's very nice. Would be an honor. Thank you so much, Brent. Thank you again for allowing me to introduce you and Jessy in her absence today. But we'll get her back. We'll get her on the show with like I said, with the radio show, with the FM Radiante. Is that what it's called?
Radiante FM. Asphalt Radio is the radio show. And like I said, that is Jessy's baby. So I'm sorry she couldn't be here today, but I hope I made her proud in covering what we've done and how we've done it. And I know that she'll be on with you soon enough.
Brent Lane, thank you so much for everything you do. Thank you for coming on the show. And thanks for allowing me to introduce you and Jessy in her absence to my listeners. I truly appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Barry. It's been an honor.
Thank you so much, Brent. Such energy in that guy, wouldn't you say? I really like him, and I'm sure you do too. And Jessy, we're going to have you and Brent back soon to learn more about Radiante 98.3 FM Asphalt Radio. That's Vallarta's very own English language radio station. And Jessy, I'm looking forward to hearing from you, amiga. And thanks to Stefan and Ada for setting up that party and for the introduction to so many creative people in town, including Brent. So more to follow, folks. I've got all that information for CPS News with Jessy and Brent in the show notes. You can find it at www.puertovallartatravelshow.com. All right, well, that should do it for this week. Next week, stay tuned for more on-the-ground reports from Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, with travel tips, great restaurant and excursion ideas, and more. Until then, remember, this is an interactive show where I depend on your questions and your suggestions about all things Puerto Vallarta. If you think of something that I should be talking about, well, please reach out to me by clicking on the Contact Us tab and sending us your message. And remember, if you're considering booking any type of tour while you're in Puerto Vallarta, you must go to vallartainfo.com. That's JR's website, and reserve your tour through him right from his website. Remember, this is a value for value proposition. His experience and on-the-ground knowledge of everything Puerto Vallarta in exchange for your making a purchase of a tour that you would do anyway. You're just doing it through him as a way of saying thank you. Thanks, JR, for being our guide. It costs no more than if you're going to use someone else. So do it, really. And when you do take one of those tours, email me about your experiences. Maybe you can come on board and share with others what you liked or didn't like about the tour. Again, contact me by clicking on the Contact Us tab and sending off a message. Don't forget, he's got his maps, his DIY tours, and I have links to all of those in the show notes. And don't forget, his birthday is coming up this Friday. Once again, if you like this podcast, please take the time and subscribe, follow, share with a lover of Puerto Vallarta, or give me a good review wherever or however you happen to be listening. That way we get the word out to more and more people about the magic of this place, Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. Remember, I made it easy for you to do just that with each episode I create. But if you haven't been to my website, you really need to go have a look there. I have the links to the places we talk about, interesting pictures, and more right there in the blog posts and in the show notes for each episode of the show. So check them out for sure if you haven't already. All right? All right. Thanks to Susie and Russell Panzer. We love you guys, your passion for Vallarta, as well as all the great ideas you've given me for future podcasts. Thank you so much, you two. Thank you so much. And thanks so much to Brent Lane from CPS News with Jessy and Brent. News that speaks your language. English, that is, right in Puerto Vallarta. Make sure to subscribe to them on YouTube so you can keep on top of the local news in Vallarta. They do an incredible, very professional, state-of-the-art newscast right in Marina Vallarta, right here in Paradise. I have links to their website and their YouTube channel and their contact information. All of those are in the show notes. And thanks again to Brent and Jessy. Thank you all for listening all the way through this episode of the Puerto Vallarta Travel Show. This is Barry Kessler signing off with a wish for y'all to slow down, be kind, and live the Vallarta lifestyle. Nos vemos, amigos.
Noche de arrullo en el mar. cuando camino eterno por la playa, me encuentro junto al río cuando todo está en calma. Pronto cae la noche, me brillas Puerto Vallarta, samba de Puerto Vallarta, noche de arrullo en el mar, samba de Puerto Vallarta.